Taehyun slowly opened his eyes, hearing someone call his name. Paul, sitting in front of him, looked relieved. "I'm so glad you're okay," he said with a smile. Confused, Taehyun glanced around at the unfamiliar buildings and asked where he was. Paul explained that they were in the hunter's zone, and that he found Taehyun unconscious while returning from patrol. Taehyun, rubbing his head, wondered if Rosaria had sent him here. Opening his status window, he confirmed the presence of new skills, the ability to summon Rosaria and full hypnosis. He noted his mana was only 130 points, but realized that what happened wasn't just a dream. His contract with the devil had been replaced with the skill Queen's Man, and he now had the powerful hypnosis ability.
Queen's Man? Sounds like you've leveled up to professional simping with a hypnosis perk. Living the dream, I guess. Oh, I got another one. So you ditched the summoning skill for a skill called Queen's Man? I bet King's somewhere clapping like, "Well played, Rosaria, well played."
Come on, be serious. The switch to Queen's Man isn't about losing power or taking a step back. It's about evolving, taking on more responsibility, and solidifying a bond with the Queen as a key summon.
Translation: a summoning making the summoner their bitch is rare.
Remembering Rosaria's last words, he thought about her calling him chosen by the king. Did she really know the king? As he pondered, Paul stood up, his expression worried. "What will you do now? You should hire a hunter as a guide at the very least." Taehyun smiled, thanking him for the concern, but said there was no need. His urgent tasks were done. He decided to return home. Well, at the city hospital, where Ah-Young was being finally discharged. She was adjusting her jacket when 3 men, one of them a scarred vice guildmaster, greeted her. "How are you feeling, boss?" he asked. Ah-Young waved it off, annoyed, but they had news. "Hunter Taehyun has returned from the abyss," the deputy said. She was surprised, thinking it was too soon, even for Taehyun. "It's called the S-rank grave for a reason," she muttered, but the deputy had more to share. The real issue is who he's meeting, Kwan Kong Hayak. Now, Taehyun found himself facing Kwan Kong Hayak, head of the Indivisible Guild and an S-rank hunter. Taehyun watched calmly as Kang smiled menacingly and suggested they duel. Known as the best tank in South Korea, Kang had battled monsters for hours on end and slain hundreds alone. He began gathering energy, a crimson aura surrounding him. As Kang prepared to charge, his secretary rushed forward, slapping him in protest. "Are you really going to do this? You'll be banned from entering the abyss if you keep this up." Taehyun, now in a fighting stance, could only watch the bizarre scene unfold, feeling both shame and relief. The secretary greeted him. Kang was visibly upset as the secretary explained that Taehyun was likely aware of the Invincible Guild's forced recruitment tactics, but assured him they were here with an official invitation for him to join. Taehyun relaxed as the secretary added that if he agreed to join, he could avoid the duel altogether. Taehyun asked if rejecting the offer would mean being forced to join. Nervously, the secretary confirmed it, but emphasized the opportunity for Taehyun, mentioning his desire to participate in the Asian tournament. Taehyun was surprised she knew that. The secretary went on to explain that the Invincible Guild was one of the top guilds specializing in abyss exploration, with numerous dungeon raids scheduled. She assured Taehyun that joining them would help him enhance his achievements. As she spoke, Kang put a hand on her shoulder and interrupted. "That's enough." He smiled wickedly and said that if Taehyun wasn't convinced by words, he should proceed with the duel. Taehyun put his hands in his pockets, grinning. He said he'd changed his mind, surprising Kang and the secretary. Kang asked if this meant Taehyun was joining, but Taehyun smirked and cheekily asked what he was talking about. Kang's anger flared as Taehyun stepped closer. He proposed that whoever won the duel got what they wanted. Kang grinned, calling him a fool. Later, at the Invincible Guild's duel arena, a crowd had gathered, including reporters. They bombarded Taehyun with questions, including rumors of his forced recruitment. Though calm on the outside, Taehyun was boiling with frustration. He imagined tearing them apart with the spirit of the King Knight. Just then, he noticed a familiar figure hesitantly reaching out. It was a reporter who had met him during the hunter exam. Taehyun grabbed her hand, pulling her toward him with a smile. He recalled their past encounter, which made the reporter blush, surprised that he remembered her at all. The surrounding journalists sneered, assuming she was pretending to know him. Taehyun, however, shocked everyone by declaring that he would answer all questions later, through her. The attention shifted to the stunned reporter as Taehyun waved and made his way to the arena. arena. As he ascended the steps, Kang stood waiting in the arena, surrounded by a green dome. Kang's aura intensified as he greeted Taehyun, taunting him for finally showing up. Kang's aura surged, and Taehyun responded by using his stone skin skill, readying himself for battle. The commentator excitedly announced the match everyone had been waiting for, the 120th Forced Recruitment Duel. Both fighters took their stances, and the commentator declared the duel had officially begun. The only rule, bring the opponent to their knees.
Being popular definitely has its downsides, with everyone and their mom wanting a piece of Taehyun. But something feels off, and it's not just our viewers not hitting the like button. Ever since Taehyun came back, looking at his skill lineup, he's starting to resemble an Uchiha more and more. This isn't going to end well for that guildmaster.
Taehyun faced Kang and declared there would be no concessions. Summoning the power of the King Knight spirit, he focused his energy on Kang, determined to show his strength. He remembered that using the King Knight at full power had once brought down an S-rank monster in one strike. He believed even Kang would have trouble moving. Kang, however, wasn't fazed. With a grin, he acknowledged the power but claimed it wasn't enough. Before Taehyun could react, Kang moved with blinding speed, appearing behind him. Taehyun barely had time to turn around before Kang had gathered immense energy into his fist. Kang's punch sent Taehyun flying, carving a mark on the ground. Taehyun quickly used his chain skill, attempting to bind Kang as he charged toward him, enveloped in purple energy. Kang laughed, impressed by Taehyun's technique, but horns formed from Kang's mana as he rammed through the chains like a bull. Surprised, Taehyun had to step back, marveling at Kang's strength. Kang leaped into the air, raising his knee, ready to deliver a devastating blow. Taehyun was in a dire situation, and the impact raised a cloud of dust. As the dust settled, Kang stood confidently while Taehyun emerged a short distance away, unharmed. Kang taunted him, asking how he planned to win. Taehyun, head bowed, chuckled. He raised his eyes and suggested that unless Kang had a hidden ace, it would be difficult to bring him to his knees. Kang, irritated, stepped forward, calling Taehyun naive. Suddenly, a terrifying dinosaur manifested behind Kang, its presence energizing the spectators. The crowd cheered, thrilled to witness the latest form of Kang's beast-mimicking attack, a signature of his wild animal blessing. Among the crowd, Yua Young of the Nightwalker Guild and Deputy Hansu observed quietly. Hansu, nervously eating popcorn, remarked that if Taehyun lost, he would be forced to join the Indivisible Guild. Yua, calmly munching popcorn, agreed, but noted that Taehyun always seemed to have a trump card up his sleeve. As Kang gathered energy for his next attack, Taehyun smiled, standing calmly. Hansu suddenly cried out in surprise, as did reporter Taehyun and the commentator. Kang, the guild master, had fallen to his knees, stunned. Taehyun stood behind him, victorious. The guild master, shocked, looked up in disbelief, wondering what had just happened. Taehyun smiled and casually asked if this meant he had won. Meanwhile, Kang's secretary was explaining the situation to the Human Rights Commission, clarifying that Kang had initiated the duel and Taehyun had accepted willingly. The crowd, in disbelief, stared at their fallen leader. Some spectators angrily accused Taehyun of cheating, demanding a rematch. Taehyun sighed at the unfair accusations but turned his gaze back to Kang, who remained on his knees, defeated.
Called it. From now on, he's Uchiha Taehyun. He straight up Itachi'd their guild leader, and didn't even do it nicely. He made the guy think he had a chance. Our boy just played him in front of everyone.
Let's not get carried away with the Uchiha comparisons. Sure, Taehyun outplayed the guild leader, but this was about strategy, not showing off. He didn't just humiliate him for the sake of it, he calculated every move, staying focused on the bigger picture. This is what makes him dangerous, not just in skill, but in how he thinks 2 steps ahead of everyone.
All right, fair enough. He definitely wasn't just flexing. Still, you gotta admit, it was brutal, and that kind of cold, calculated move is what makes the comparison fit.
Taehyun looked at the trembling Kang, realizing that to some extent he had anticipated something like this. Still, he hadn't expected Kang to be driven into a corner by such powerful melee strikes. Taehyun acknowledged Kang's reputation as the best tank in New South Korea and recalled the moment Kang rushed at him. He knew that the full hypnosis mind control skill received from Rhysaria had worked perfectly at the crucial moment. Taehyun remembered smiling just as Kang's attack came. At the last second, he commanded commanded Kang to kneel. Kang, now shaking with anger, felt humiliated. His face turned blue as he questioned how he could have lost. Unable to recall the last seconds of the battle, he realized it must have been a mind control skill and cursed himself for making such a mistake. Grinding his teeth in frustration, Kang let out an enraged shout, ordering the crowd to be silent. The audience, including reporter Taehyun and the commentator, watched in fear as Kang stood up and admitted defeat. Though furious, Kang accepted responsibility, exclaiming that he alone was at fault. He declared that the outcome of the fight was final, and anyone dissatisfied could step into the arena where he would personally break their skulls. Meanwhile, Yua Young continued eating her popcorn calmly, while Hansu stood stunned. Yua noted how furious Kang was, having lost to Taehyun in his prime. She reflected on how she never expected Taehyun to bring Kang to his knees at this moment, yet she wasn't surprised. Taehyun always seemed to have hidden skills up his sleeve. Hansu, nervously watching, commented on Yua's strange expression. Kang approached Taehyun, standing right in front of him, seething with anger. Taehyun extended his hand with a smile, complimenting Kang on the excellent fight. Kang, throwing his head back in frustration, asked if Taehyun had planned to win this way all along. Taehyun, smiling, admitted that he had, to some extent. Kang, baring his teeth, shook Taehyun's hand and acknowledged that a promise was a promise. Assuming Taehyun would ask for money or a unique item, Kang was surprised when Taehyun instead expressed his desire to participate in the raid on the Minotaur's labyrinth. Kang was taken aback, visibly alarmed at the request.
Man, Taehyun really hit him where it hurt. Kang was ready to hand over treasure, but Taehyun went straight for the jugular with that raid request. Classic move. He didn't just win the fight, he won the mind game too. And the best part, Kang never saw it coming. He's out there thinking the worst is behind him, then Taehyun casually drops that bomb, asking for a spot in the Minotaur's labyrinth. That's next level manipulation. Taehyun didn't just beat him in the arena, he's got him cornered in the long game too. Kang's pride probably took a bigger hit than his body.
Ah, you see, young one. This is where true wisdom comes into play. Taehyun didn't bother with trinkets or gold because he understood that power lies in opportunity, not possessions. By securing a place in the Minotaur's labyrinth, he's positioning himself for something far greater. Kang, however, is still thinking in terms of the immediate battle. But Taehyun, he's already looking beyond into the future. That's the mark of a true strategist.
Still, I wonder, would even this be enough merit points to finally place him in the top 5 after this raid? I can't help but think of the auction incident, but that's probably wishful thinking. If this is something Taehyun wanted to do, there's likely a deeper reason behind it, a move that's not so obvious.
The scene then shifted to the New South Korea Players Association Tower. Taehyun, standing before Chairman Jinu, asked about the Minotaur's labyrinth. Chairman Jinu explained that it was a dungeon located at the beginning of the Abyss dungeon, notorious for its complexity and many traps. He added that bringing someone with detection skills was essential, as many guilds and S-rank hunters had attempted to clear the dungeon over the past 30 years, only to suffer crushing defeats. Despite the dangers, the Indivisible Guild had now secured the rights to raid the labyrinth, preparing their invasion in secrecy. Taehyun, excited, questioned how Taehyun had even learned about this place and whether he would be okay. Chairman Jinu, clasping his hands together, acknowledged the risk, admitting that nothing was guaranteed in the abyss. He could only hope that those attempting the raid would prevail. Just then, a call came in from the Japan Hunters Association, revealing that the Saint had sent an invitation to Hunter Taehyun. Meanwhile, Kang and his team were preparing for the Minotaur's labyrinth raid in the association's basement control room. Secretary Taehyun counted the participants, a mix of men and women, some equipped and others not. Smiling confidently, the secretary announced that the 100 participants were ready for the raid. Kang, holding his weapon, grinned and led the group into the gate. Once inside the labyrinth, the battle quickly escalated. Energy and dust filled the air as the hunters faced off against hordes of minotaurs, united by their defensive and healing skills. Taehyun fought alongside them, wielding his dagger with deadly precision. He swiftly dispatched 2 minotaurs, slicing them into pieces before they could even react. Kang, meanwhile, held the severed head of a minotaur, walking over to Taehyun with a grin. He complimented Taehyun on his excellent skill and asked if he liked the weapon Kang had given him. Taehyun admired the dagger, saying it was good, though he still wanted to repair his original weapon. Kang laughed, revealing that he had originally originally intended to give the dagger to Taehyun if he joined the Indivisible Guild. However, considering Taehyun's contribution to the raid, Kang deemed it a fitting reward for winning their bet. Taehyun thanked him, but asked if they would truly face no issues as they ventured deeper into the labyrinth. The secretary reassured him, but Taehyun remained cautious, noting that the labyrinth had seen 30 years of failed raids. Without special measures, he feared this could be another failure. The secretary reassured him, explaining that the raid participants were all rank B or above veterans. She mentioned that they had someone with detection skills, the guild's deputy head, who could eliminate all traps. Kang added that though the deputy was quiet, he was trustworthy. The secretary then mentioned that they had found the key to completing the dungeon a few months ago. The guild head explained they had discovered a minotaur corpse deep in the abyss, marked with symbols similar to those in the labyrinth. When they touched it, the entire body crumbled, leaving only a single horn. Taehyun became excited, and Kang confirmed that they could use the tracking skill to follow the monster's path to the center of the labyrinth. The raid members followed the deputy head, who led the way, navigating through narrow spaces until they reached a spacious room. There stood a minotaur statue missing one horn. The deputy said this was the end of the maze. Kang, surprised, asked if it was a boss monster. The deputy explained they needed to attach the missing horn to the statue. Kang smiled and called for the secretary, who rolled the horn to them. She quickly delivered it to Kang, ready for the next step. Taehyun noted that, so far, everything matched the information he had before the regression. The raiding party, using the Great Minotaur's horn, reached the end of the labyrinth. However, Taehyun felt uneasy, knowing what would happen next. Meanwhile, Kang, carrying the horn, walked happily toward the Minotaur statue. He lifted the horn and attached it to the statue. He was taken aback for a moment, as nothing happened. Then immediately, the statue began to shine. In the blink of an eye, the statue began to disappear. As the statue vanished, the entire area around them started to shift and turn white, a transformation that left even Kwon Kong-yuk baffled. The guild members, including Secretary Kim Hyun, were in shock, except for the vice guild master, who seemed largely indifferent to the chaos unfolding. All the raid participants were separated into small groups of 3 or 4 and scattered across various locations. The scattered groups found themselves in harsh environments, some trapped in a snowstorm in the mountains, others near raging rivers with deadly waves, and still others next to an erupting volcano. Kim Taehyun, caught in the chaos, found himself in the midst of a dense jungle with a small group of guild members. Amidst the confusion, he realized that a spatial transfer trap had been activated, leaving his group shaken as they faced the daunting sight before them. The raid team found themselves trapped in a mysterious jungle after a sudden spatial transfer trap. Confused and alarmed by their situation, one of the members suggested introducing themselves. A girl claimed to be Miranda, a B-rank hunter, but Kim immediately attacked her, revealing her true identity as Molina, an S-rank villain and triple magician.
Okay, Taehyun not playing or showing any mercy. She got hit like she's a man, and he didn't even show any remorse or hesitation. So when it comes down to an ass whooping, he doesn't discriminate at all.
I don't even know how to respond to that. True most would look down on what he just did, but would you allow a murderer go free no matter their gender?
Point taken. Maybe because this time it's a human that it hits a bit differently. Or is this foreshadowing something? Because once again, Taehyun diving headfirst into his captain save-a-ho moniker.
Park Sunu, a B-rank with the magic bullet skill, was stunned by Kim's actions. He had always admired Molina's heroism and couldn't believe his eyes. As he tried to defend Molina, she violently struck him, confirming her villainous nature. Taehyun, unfazed, grinned, and remarked that there were 3 villains among them. The other 2 attempted to ambush him, but Taehyun dodged their attacks and neutralized them with ease, using his golden chain skill to subdue them. Molina, enraged, confronted him with her witch's claws, which should have paralyzed him with poison, but Taehyun's immunity rendered her attack ineffective. As she pressed on, Taehyun activated his Night King's spirit skill, unleashing a devastating attack that decimated the area. After the intense battle in the jungle, Park Sunu emerged from the trees, his glasses broken, surveying the destruction around him. He saw Taehyun standing victorious, while Molina lay defeated, her hands bound behind her back, by Kim's golden chain skill. Furious and humiliated, Molina shouted at him to release her, threatening him. Taehyun responded by grabbing her hair, lifting her head and coldly saying, "Sorry, but I don't have time to play with you anymore." He activated complete hypnosis, compelling her to tell the truth. Under hypnosis, Molina revealed there were 20 infiltrators, including 5 S-rank, with the mission to sabotage the Labyrinth raid and kill the guild master Kwon Kong-yuk. Park Sunu, still reeling from Molina's confession, watched as she fell unconscious under the influence of Taehyun's hypnosis. Taehyun recalled that there had only been 3 S-rank villains before his regression, wondering if his actions were causing the future to shift. Taehyun told Park they needed to join Kwon, and as they moved through the jungle, Park couldn't shake his disbelief over Molina's betrayal.
Oh my God, is oh boy simping hard. Someone gotta tell him he wasn't getting those draws.
He questioned why Taehyun hadn't warned the others earlier, but Taehyun calmly revealed that he had already informed Kwon about the infiltrators. Shocked, Park wondered why Kwon hadn't acted on this information. Now surrounded by 7 traitors, Kwon Kong-yuk has been betrayed by the Vice Guild Master, who stabbed him, while 3 other guild members approach from behind to attack. One wields a dagger, another a mace, and the third prepares to attack with bare hands. Despite the dire situation, Kwon laughs. "What are you guys doing? This joke has gone too far, right, Vice Guild Master?" The Vice Guild Master chuckles menacingly. "A joke, you say?" He moves to finish Kwon off, but Secretary Kim rushes forward to help. Before she can reach him, an infiltrator leaps into the air, ready to strike her down. Kwon notices just in time and shields Kim with his body, taking the hit meant for her. "Damn, that hurts like hell," Kwon mutters, wincing in pain as the infiltrators prepare to strike again. Though injured, Kwon rallies himself. "Stay back, Secretary Kim," he says, eyes glowing bright purple as he activates his power, summoning the strength of his T-Rex form. With a single move, he defeats the 3 infiltrators. Seeing that Kwon is still standing, the Vice Guild Master reaches into his coat, retrieving an ominous item, readying for battle. Secretary Kim, still in shock, insists she can fight, but Kwon tells her to stay out of it. "You can't handle these people." Undeterred, Secretary Kim replies, "If we don't fight together, we'll both die." The Vice Guild Master interrupts, stepping forward with his men. "She's right, Kwon. You don't have the luxury of looking out for others in this situation. We've been hiding our true power all this time. Everyone here is a ranker, and there are 4 S-rankers among us. We're the elite of the Malignant Guild, and we're here to kill you." With that, the Vice Guild Master sets fire to a chained lantern in his hand, pulling out a flaming skull. As he activates his skill, a total of 7 villains surround Kwon and Secretary Kim. "You've made quite the preparations, haven't you?" Kwon says, eyeing the Vice Guild Master. "I thought I was good at reading people." The Vice Guild Master laughs. "Don't blame yourself, Kwon. The Malignant Guild has been planning this for years. A fool like you couldn't possibly have figured it out." "Damn it, Kim Taehyun was right," Kwon mutters. This shocks the Vice Guild Master. "Kim Taehyun knew about our plan? Then why didn't you do anything?" Laughing, Kwon replies, "A real man doesn't doubt his comrades. As a guild master, I can't doubt my team." Baffled, the Vice Guild Master scoffs, "What does that even mean? I knew you were an idiot, but this is beyond belief." Frustrated, even Secretary Kim snaps at him. "You're telling me you didn't even check the information? All this chaos because of you?"
She has a good point. He could have avoided all this mess if he took what Taehyun said to heart, but what little you told me of him, I'm taking he the overly prideful type.
Okay, let's say some newcomer tells you that your partner for years has been out to kill you, but the timing was not right as you were still of use. Would you believe that without proof?
Point taken.
Kwon is bewildered by the anger surrounding him, but before he can respond, the Vice Guild Master attacks. He sends the fiery skull toward Kwon, but Kwon reacts quickly, grabbing Secretary Kim and leaping out of harm's way. The Vice Guild Master laughs, mocking him. "Good job, Kwon. Thanks to your stupidity, our plan is a success. Now you can die knowing you failed." Kwon steadies himself, glaring at the Vice Guild Master. "First them, now you. I said I wouldn't doubt my comrades. I never said I'd just let you win." Activating his T-Rex skill, Kwon deflects the Vice Guild Master's attack, then lands a devastating punch to his face. The blow breaks the Vice Guild Master's teeth and sends him flying, coughing up blood. Kwon's power, known as the Blessing of the Beast, infused him with the strength of an ancient dragon. Taehyun, facing Kwon Kong-yuk's back, shouts, "Are you saying you'll just take this lying down even though you knew about it?" Kwon smirks. "Geez, you don't think you've seen all my power, do you?" Kwon continues, "Don't worry, I said I believe you, but I never said I'd take it lying down." The three infiltrators and the vice guild master lie defeated and unconscious on the ground. Kwon, victorious, his body showing the toll of battle. Just then, Taehyun and Park Sunu enter through the floating door that connects all the trap rooms. They're in disbelief as they witness the aftermath. "What's this? You're just getting here now?" Kwon says with a laugh, relieved to see them. After reuniting with Taehyun, Kwon asks if he had seen any other guild members. Taehyun mentions that he had passed a few while moving through the labyrinth, but chose not to stop. As they regroup, Kwon teases Taehyun about being cold-hearted, but the mood quickly shifts. Taehyun asks what the next move is, and Kwon, deep in thought, admits they need to retreat. He acknowledges the dangers still lurking, including the labyrinth's unseen boss, and regrets that his own stubbornness has led to this situation. Taehyun agrees and warns him to be more careful in the future. Annoyed by Taehyun's words, Kwon snaps, "I went out of my way to apologize." Secretary Kim quickly steps in to calm the situation before it escalates. Taehyun, now deep in thought, questions to himself, why haven't there been any traps or monsters? In a typical spatial transfer trap, the space is filled with dangers, but the places we passed through were just empty rooms. Why? He then thinks back to before his regression. If there were no monsters or traps, how did Kwon encounter the labyrinth's master? Taehyun's eyes widen as he notices something shocking. Secretary Kim and Park are equally stunned, while Kwon, confused, asks, "What is that?" The walls of the boss's room begin to crack, and from those cracks a massive creature emerges, a minotaur with 6 eyes, 3 arms, and wielding 3 weapons. "That's the boss of the labyrinth?" Park stammers in disbelief. The creature, an S+ ranked Grand Minotaur Queen, looms before them. Park Soo-ho and Secretary Kim were cornered by the powerful TOA Kings. As the two monsters leaped into the air, ready to strike, Park fired his magic bullets in desperation, but they were ineffective. Fear gripped both him and Secretary Kim as they struggled to figure out their next move. Suddenly, Kwon Kong-yuk appeared out of nowhere, launching a devastating punch at the TOA Kings. Though 2 of them managed to dodge, the third wasn't so lucky. Kwon's fist obliterated the right side of its face. Park and Secretary Kim, both relieved and shocked by Kwon's powerful punch, watched as Kim Taehyun joined the fray. He used his chain skill to trap the remaining TOA Kings, shouting to Kwon that it was time to finish them off. Kwon charged his fire breath attack, unleashing it on the trapped monsters. The resulting flames scorched the TOA Kings, burning their flesh to the bone. As the fire died down, Kwon mocked the monsters, convinced they were defeated. But to everyone's shock, the TOA Kings regenerated in the flames, their bodies healing before their eyes. Despite their best efforts, Kwon and Kim struggled to defeat the TOA Kings. Kwon even managed to punch a hole through one of their heads, but it quickly regenerated. The more they fought, the more Kwon realized they couldn't win against their regenerative powers. The Grand Minotaur Queen, still lurking between the cracks, was protected by the TOA Kings, whose numbers only increased. Frustrated, Kwon found himself torn. Should he save his comrades or take down the Minotaur Queen?
What? Why you stop the story?
I was expecting you to say something along the lines of how he is stuck between a rock and a hard place, or anything but you're quiet.
Are you serious right now? We're in the middle of the good parts. How about could you hit that like and subscribe so Chief can tell us how they managed to get out of this situation?
Kwon dismissed the memory in a fit of anger. Fueled by rage, he refused to choose between protecting his comrades and fighting the enemy. His power surged to its peak, covering him in a purple aura. With a powerful strike, he destroyed one of the Toe Kings, shocking Taehyun. "I'm greedy," Kwon said, determined. "I'll protect my comrades and crush these monsters. I'm not choosing." Taehyun, bloodied but smiling, responded, "There's still a way to defeat the Minotaur Queen." With renewed determination, Kwon and Taehyun fought their way through the Toe Kings, causing massive destruction in their path. The Minotaur Queen watched, seemingly unfazed, ready to fight. As the Queen sent the Toe Kings to protect her, Kwon unleashed his fire breath once more, setting them ablaze. But the Queen mocked him, claiming her power would always regenerate them. Then, to the queen's surprise, Taehyun emerged from the flames, ready for his final attack. Taehyun activated his King Knight Spirit skill, grabbed the Minotaur Queen by the neck, and pushed her through the cracks she had emerged from. Kwon shouted encouragement as Taehyun used all his power to shatter the queen's defenses, determined to end the fight once and for all. As Kwon Kung-yuk and Taehyun battle the Tao Kings, clearing a path for their assault on the Minotaur Queen, Kwon asks, "Which way?" while they run. Taehyun replies, "I'm just guessing, but the Tao Kings are being revived by the Queen from another space. If we can reach and defeat her, they'll vanish." Kwon listens as they fight and warns, "If you're wrong, everyone dies." Taehyun simply responds, "The situation is no different right now." Meanwhile, Secretary Kim and Park Sunu watch in shock as the Tao Kings lose power and collapse. Taehyun's plan has worked. The Tao Kings are destroyed. The scene shifts to Kwon and Taehyun approaching the Minotaur Queen. Taehyun, using his King Knight Spirit skill, grabs the queen by the neck. She snarls, freeing herself with her double-edged axe and magical staff. Kwon quickly attacks, unleashing his dragon blessing, striking the queen with a lightning bolt that separates them. The queen lands in a field of skulls, victims of past battles. But Taehyun crashes into the ground like a meteorite, disoriented. He gathers himself, only to see Kwon bleeding heavily, his right arm missing from the queen's earlier strike. Shocked, Taehyun says, "Your arm!" But Kwon shouts back, "Focus! It's coming!" In the darkness, they feel the Minotaur Queen's presence. She suddenly emerges, swinging her axe. Kwon charges his power into his fist, eyes glowing, while Taehyun prepares to attack with his dagger and chain skill. However, the queen is too fast, and her attack throws them across the room. Watching their efforts, the Minotaur Queen is impressed, saying, "You children, using my space against me, but now I have more power without the Tao Kings." Kwon is too weak to fight further, but Taehyun struggles to his feet, unsure of how to defend himself as the queen prepares to crush him. Taehyun recalls a conversation with Yua Young in the hospital. She had told him, "The way to do it is with application. Skill descriptions in the stat window are lacking. The way you handle a skill in reality can change its form in many ways. Adjusting its power also changes how much mana it uses. Try coding your weapon with a skill if you can't control it well. I'm sure you'll figure it out." Back in the present, Taehyun knows he must use Predation to survive. "If I don't finish her in one blow, it'll go berserk. But I have no choice," he thinks. As the queen launches another attack, he activates his Predation skill and manages to land a hit, surprising her. Her axe begins to break under the power of Predation. Taehyun presses his advantage, fusing his dagger with Predation and striking the queen repeatedly, destroying her weapons. He then activates his Golden Chain skill, combining it with Predation to pierce her right shoulder. The queen, enraged and in pain, has never experienced such power. Seeing his chance, Taehyun jumps into the air, combining his King Knight Spirit skill with Predation for a final attack. Yua Young was right, he thinks, smiling. His strike shatters the queen's horn and sends her flying. Taehyun realizes that Predation changes form according to his will, just like other skills, and he's determined to master it. Bleeding and broken, the queen is on her last legs. Taehyun fuses Predation with his dagger for a final devastating strike. He leaps into the air and slashes through the queen's body, cutting her in half. With that, Taehyun smiles, knowing he has finally defeated the great Minotaur Queen.
Surrounded by regenerating Tao Kings, and the Minotaur Queen is just sitting back and watching them struggle? That sounds like an absolute nightmare, but our boy with the Guildmaster stood 10 toes down and handled business.
It really was. Kwon's tearing through Tao Kings, but they're just regenerating. He starts to realize they'll never make it to the Queen unless they figure out something drastic. That's when he remembers what the chairman said about knowing your limits and protecting what matters.
That's when Taehyun jumps in with his big plan, using his King Knight Spirit to grab the Minotaur Queen and holds her down. Then Kwon attacks while he has the Queen pinned. And when that wasn't enough, Taehyun went into full Uchiha level 2. It was a wrap after that.
After Taehyun's predation skill consumed the Minotaur Queen, cracks spread through the walls of the dark, foreboding lair, and the space itself began to disintegrate. A passageway emerged, guiding Taehyun and a severely injured Kwan Kung Yuk out of the collapsing domain. Meanwhile, their guild mates, waiting in the boss's chamber, were startled by the sudden appearance of the two warriors. As the dust cleared, they saw Taehyun supporting the unconscious Kwan, reassuring everyone with a weary smile. Overcome with relief, Park Sunu, Secretary Kim, and the rest of the guild embraced them, celebrating their narrow victory. In the aftermath, the guild discovered hidden treasures within the labyrinth, including a rare elixir, the Fountain of Vitality. Given in recognition of their heroism, the elixir would benefit Taehyun and Kwan, though it could not fully make up for Kwan's lost arm. Kwan accepted it gratefully, reflecting, "Better something than nothing." Following the victory, the villains who had infiltrated the labyrinth were identified and captured, while the players recuperated from the arduous raid. Later, a press conference revealed a surprising development. Kwan, now dressed in a sharp suit, announced he wasn't retiring due to his injury but taking a break. As reporters pressed him about his replacement, he confidently introduced Taehyun as the player set to represent New Korea in the Asian Exhibition Games.
This is unexpected. With how his ego is, I would have thought he would have still have tried to keep his spot.
If you look at this from a different angle, Kwan has a lot of reflecting to do as his way of doing things nearly ended his life. If it wasn't for Taehyun's warning and assistance, he would not have made it out of there with only an arm missing.
Maybe, but it's one hell of a story.
Taehyun took the stage with a modest smile, acknowledging the murmurs about his lack of experience compared to seasoned players. Despite the crowd's doubts, he assured them, "I hope these games will be the place to prove myself, even against the rumors of national force rank." Meanwhile, a villainous figure known as Shadow eliminated Milena, a failed operative of the malignant guild, and ordered the place burned to hide their tracks. Reflecting on the raid, he grew intrigued by Taehyun's potential, realizing that the upcoming games would be far more interesting than anticipated. Taehyun entered a meeting room filled with New Korea's top-ranked players, all set to join him at the Asian Exhibition Games. They greeted him with varying degrees of skepticism and encouragement, with one player remarking, "I knew you'd join us eventually, just didn't think it'd be this soon." With everyone present, the chairman addressed the team. "It's been chaotic, but we're all here. Let's begin our strategy meeting for the games." At the strategy meeting for the Asian Exhibition Games, the chairman began by explaining the history and purpose of the tournament. He shared that after the discovery of the Abyss and the emergence of awakening powers, the self-defense forces across Asian countries united to combat a surge of demons and monsters. The Asian Exhibition Games were established from these efforts, now a 7-day event where representatives from various nations hunt demons and monsters, with each kill scored by rank. The chairman emphasized that the games serve both as a competition and as a propaganda tool, with the winning country receiving unique items, exclusive dungeon rights, and national prestige.
So in other words, this is nothing but the Chunin exams from Naruto, the Asian Chunin exams. There's nothing you can say, so just take this L and continue, Chief.
Listening closely, Taehyun contemplated the competition's potential rewards, realizing how crucial it would be to improve his strength, especially if he intended to face powerful beings like the succubus queen Rosaria. As Taehyun reflected, the chairman continued, admitting that New Korea's team was facing a power gap due to Kwan Kung Huk's recent injury and the absence of several other key players. Park Sun-jin suggested recruiting a new powerhouse, and with a grin, hinted at a rumor circulating about Taehyun's rumored national force-level abilities.
Uchiha Taehyun, the living legend, baby.
Taehyun modestly downplayed the rumor, reminding the team it was unconfirmed. Reassured, the players moved forward with the chairman's plan to distribute roles for the games. The strategy was simple yet effective. They would capitalize on experience rather than raw power. Park Sun-jin, Kwak Zhang, and Seo Hong-gil would focus on monster hunting, while Jang Jin-soo, known for his PvP skills, would work alongside Taehyun to hunt designated demons.
Wait. How's this a tournament? It's just a raid on monsters and criminals.
I don't know how I would describe how the Asian Exhibition Games. In a sense, the Asian Exhibition Games are like a public display of regional power and stability. It's a structured way for nations to showcase their elite players, allowing for open assessment of each country's military strength and awakening capabilities. With only the top 5 representatives from each nation competing, national honor is deeply intertwined in every move they make, creating a fierce yet controlled rivalry.
Exactly, a kind of checks and balances, but there's definitely a darker layer. Countries don't just stand by and watch rivals grow stronger. Subtle sabotage and accidents aren't uncommon, as each nation tries to control the power balance. Everyone's playing to win, but also to make sure no one else gains too much of an edge.
A few weeks later at the opening ceremony, with international participants gathering in the stadium, spectators marveled at the impressive teams from Japan and China, with their formidable national force-level players like Japan's demon swordmaster, Nakata Shinji, and China's powerful trio led by Bloodsword Li Ping. Back in Korea, Taehyun's family watched the broadcast with mixed emotions. His cousin Ji-young, full of pride, cheered wildly, while his uncle and aunt voiced concern over the team's chances without some of its strongest players. Later, Taehyun encountered a woman who introduced herself as Yoshikawa Sara, Japan's national force-level player known as the Saint. Recognizing her from past encounters, Taehyun remembered she had requested a meeting, supposedly to thank him for helping resolve the East Point incident. However, aware of the darker truths surrounding her, Taehyun declined her invitation. The Saint's polite smile faltered slightly, and as Taehyun walked away, Nakata Shinji approached her, asking if she needed assistance. She laughed and remarked on Taehyun's impressive information network, intrigued by his abilities and the mystery surrounding his knowledge of her. She admitted, "Others may see him as another rising powerhouse, but he's much more. I hope he becomes mine, eventually."
And with that being said, it's time to go.
Time to go? Go where?
To dive into regression with the King's Power. Oh yeah, I'm taking an announcer with me since this is like a sporting event.
Okay, I can't say I saw that coming, but for those that wanted to know where in the novel world I stopped at, it's chapter 72.
If you're finding this story engaging, feel free to drop a comment below. I'd love to discuss the unfolding narrative and hear your thoughts. And if you're enjoying the tales shared, don't forget to hit that like button. For more captivating stories like this, simply click on any of the links by my side, and together, let's dive into more immersive worlds. Your feedback and interaction make this journey all the more exciting.